the group, and vice versa for the negative norms. It is called deviant workplace behavior. It is a voluntary behavior that violates significant organizational norms and threatens the well-being of the organizations or its members. Examples of the deviant workplace behavior is leaving early, intentionally working slowly, and wasting resources. The next property is status. Status is a social divine position or rank given to group or group members by others, permits every society. Even the smallest group will show differences in member status over time. What determines status is, according to status characteristics theory, status tends to derive from one of three sources. The first one is the power a person will starts over, and the second one is a person ability to contribute to group goals, and the third one is an individual's personal characteristic. And there are high status and low status. High status individuals may be more likely to deviate norms when they have low identification or social identity with the group. In general, bringing high status members into group may improve the performance of the organization. Adding some high status individuals to a group may be advantageous because group performance suffers when too many high status people are in the mix. And the next one is group property. For it is size. Size is or a number of the members, and groups with a dozen or more members are good for gaining diverse input. If the goal is fact-finding or idea generating, then larger groups should be more effective. Smaller groups of about 7 members are better at doing something productive. And one of the most important findings about the size of a group concerns called social loving. It is the tendency for individual to expend less effort when they work when working collectively than when alone. So they are prefer to work alone than working in group. It's called social loving. And there are ways to prevent social loving for the members of the group. It is set group goals, so the group has a common purpose to strive toward, and increase the intergroup competition, and engage in peer evaluations, and select the members who have high motivation and prefer to work in groups, and base group rewards in part on each member's unique contributions. And the fifth group of property is cohesiveness. Cohesiveness is the degree to which members are attracted to each other and motivated to stay in the group. I think it is the vice versa of the social loving. So cohesiveness is they like to work in group and motivated to each other. And cohesiveness, of course, affects the group productivity. If the cohesive group will be if the cohesive group will be more productive than a less cohesive group. But if cohesiveness is high and performance norms are low, productivity will be low. And what can you do to encourage group cohesiveness is you can make the group smaller and encouragement agreement with the group goals, and increase the time members spend together, increase the group status, and stimulate competition with other groups, and give rewards to the group rather than to the individual members. That are the ways to improve the cohesiveness in a group. And the last one is diversity. So we have discussed about diversity in the previous chapters, but in a group, of course, we have diversity in the group's membership, or the degree to which members of the groups are similar to or different from one to another, and types of group diversity such as national origin, race, gender, experience. And although differences can lead to a conflict, they also provide an opportunity to solve problems in unique ways. One possible negative effect of teams, especially those that are diverse in terms of surface level characteristics, is fault lines. Fault lines is a division that split groups into two or more subgroups based on individual differences. So in one group, example, in one group, there are 4 members, and they divide it again into 2 subgroups that is called fault lines, because they prefer to join in the same from their same work experience, age, or race, like that. And many decisions in organizations are made by group teams or committees. And the next one is group decision making. In group decision making, there are several uh, I there are several items that in when we discuss about group decision making. The first one is the strength of group decision making is groups will generate more complete information and knowledge. Of course, if there is strength, there is the weakness of group decision making. Group decisions are time consuming because groups typically take more time to reach a solutions because there are many members in the group, so it takes more time to discuss and reach a solution. And effectiveness and efficiency is whether groups are more effective than individuals depend on how you define the effectiveness in group decision making. We cannot consider effectiveness without assessing efficiency, right? And with few exceptions, group decision making consumes more work hours than having an individual decision making. And the most common form of group decision making takes place in interacting group. Interacting groups is members meet face to face and rely on both verbal and non-verbal interactions to communicate. That's called interacting groups. And brainstorming is the techniques for the decision making. It is brainstorming can overcome the pressures for conformity that dampen creativity by encouraging any and all alternatives while withholding criticism. And the second one is nominal group technique. Nominal group technique may be more effective because this technique restricts discussion and interpersonal communication during the decision-making process. And the next one is groupthink. Groupthink is a phenomenon in which the norm for consensus overrides the realistic appraisal of alternative courses of action. Groupthink can affect groups' ability and alternatives objectively and achieve high quality of solutions. Groupthink relates to norms and describes situations in which group pressures for conformity deter the group from critically appraising unusual, minority, or unpopular views. And what can managers do to minimize groupthink is, first, they can monitor group size. So they have to select the number of the members based on their purpose to minimize groupthink. And leaders should actively seek input from all members and avoid expressing their opinions, especially in early stages of deliberation. And there are differences between group decision and the individual decisions of group members. In groups, discussion leads members toward a more extreme view of the position they already held. And the next one is group shift. Group shifts is a change between a group's decision and an individual decision that a member within the group will make. The shift can be toward either conservatism or greater risk, but it generally is toward a more extreme version of the group's original position. And there are different differences between group decision and individual decisions, as I mentioned before. The conservatives in group discussions may lead the members toward a more extreme view of the position they already held, and conservatives become more cautious and more aggressive types take on more risk. While in individual decision making, we can decide what solution that we want instead of discussing with other group members. And it is better for a person who likes to work alone rather than work in groups. I think that's all about my presentation today. Thank you for your attention. And is there any question?
Ask you what happened when cohesiveness and performance-related norms are both low. Thank you.
I'd like to answer Anisa's question. Uh, as I mentioned before, if the cohesiveness is performance related to norms are high, will it will affect the productivity of organizations, and vice versa if the cohesiveness and norms are both low, so the productivity will tend to fall into low moderate range of their productivity, and it will affect also the organization performance. Do you agree with my answer, Anissa?
Yes, thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome. Is there?
Hi, Melissa and
Yes, are you?
I want to ask, you said before that group decision is take more time because there are so many members in the group, right?
Yes.
So what is more accurate between group decision and the individual decision?
Is how to solve the problem if there is a discrimination in one workplace group diversity. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I think we have discussed about this in previous chapter, how to solve discrimination in discrimination in group diversity. I think the first one is we have to understand about the discriminations policy first in the organization, and then after that, I think we have to have a discussion with the person who discriminated us, and if there is no solution and I continue to be discriminated, I think I will report it to my managers or the leaders of my organization and find a solution as fair as possible. Thank you, Putri.
Question.
Yes.
As you know that one of the challenge in the group while working is that the manager have to make sure that the productivity of the group as a whole is at least the same as the productivity of individual. What is the correlation with the satisfaction, performance, and the productivity itself?
You mean the when working group and individual?
Yes. I mean, while working in the group is more hard than individual because it will decrease the satisfaction and the performance, also the productivity. Can you give? Can you if you ask a manager, what will you do to handle these issues? Okay,
I think working in the group doesn't affect the satisfactions and the productivity because if I as a manager for the group, I will select the members based on the purpose of the organization's purpose, right? And they have to select the members and also based on the divisions they have, so they have the same perspectives in each members of the group, and so that it will not affect the productivity and they will work in their own way to achieve their purpose because they have the same purpose and they have the same perspective.
Okay, but let me ask you again. it will be more easier while it's only like 5 or 7 person in a group. But what if it's really a huge of member of a group, like 20, that it will be more harder, I think.
Yes, for huge number of the group, it will takes more time to reach a solutions because we collect many solutions from the members, right? Like we have 20 solutions from each 20 solutions because one member have one opinion. But that's why it is better to have a smaller groups instead a larger groups. And 7 is the average number of the members to make it more effective and efficient to reach the solution. So it is takes more time to reach a solution if the number of the group members is huge.
Okay, Mel, thank